Hey everybody, Andy here. Happy Thursday, live office hours. Great to have you. Today I've got a nice little show for you on what's going on with the employment market right now and why I think it's on fire, what it means to you. I'm going to show you some evidence of the fact, and I'm going to tell you what I want you to do about it so you get those big time job offers and pay raises. So great to have you if you're here with me live. It's a Thursday at 11 a.m. Central. Every week I have my show. And thanks for joining me. If you are here, get in the chat, say hi, let me know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. And if you're watching me on the recording, great to have you as well. So today I was going to show up and I was just going to do a Q&A, but after I went through my morning routine, I went through my email, which is normally what I do. I got an email from Michael, who I don't know. I'm actually going to show you his email here in a little while. And he was asking me about an opportunity. He's in New York. There's an opportunity in Tennessee. He got a job offer. He thought the employer put it together in a bit hurried fashion, and he thinks it's about $20K light, and he wanted my advice. And so I said, okay, this is just the last straw. I get emails like this every day. I get comments in the Mile Walk Academy system every day. I get emails of victory dances of people in my programs that are getting these huge raises. And I thought, I want to take another layer off the onion here and take a little bit deeper dive into showing you what's actually happening in the employment market right now, why that's happening, and what it could mean for you. So, what's actually happening? Why is the employment market so hot right now? Now, I'm going to say this, but I don't want to have to say this every time I make a positive statement like that. Yes, every single day for all time, somebody zigs and somebody zags, right? I understand there are parts of the world that are not in as great shape. I understand there are certain industries that are not doing as well as others. But for the most part, the employment market, the economy was strolling right along. It was very healthy. When the pandemic hit, employers were very disoriented. Certainly some of them took some real shots in the mouth and are still recovering. But for the most part, things were going very well. So they were disoriented and needed to figure out how to operate in this new world that we were facing for the immediate future, which still seems to be lingering. And so certainly there were a lot of let-goes, there were a lot of stalls, there were a lot of employers that just were trying to figure themselves out, figure out how to work remotely, figure out how to adjust their processes, look at ways to optimize costs and those kinds of things. They've long figured that out. Now we're strolling along, and what's happened is a lot of the employees, you've got batches of employees who do not like the way their organizations were operating as a result of the pandemic. They want to leave their companies. You have the normal course of turnover, which happens every day for all time and for always will, is that through the natural course of work, employees just want to leave their employers for whatever reasons. Maybe they've outgrown their jobs. Maybe they've found a better job. Maybe they want to make a career change, whatever it might be. Those employees actually didn't change or turn over as frequently as they might have during the last year, simply because of the uncertainty in the market. So what you have now is this mass exodus of employees, or really just higher turnover than you would normally have. And because the market was healthy to begin with and employers are growing, you have this combination, this perfect storm of employers are growing, they're trying to hire new people because of that growth. But what's also happening is that employees are leaving, in which case employers need to replenish those positions as well. So you have the combination of needing to replenish and wanting more positions filled because of growth. And so you have this huge gap, which basically means employers are now overpaying to get anybody hired. Now, you don't need to go too far, like anecdotally, just to see where this is occurring. I mean, I go out to my favorite lunch spots, a couple times a week. There's signs in the windows in these restaurants, hiring. We'll give servers sign-on bonuses, $700, $900, $1,050. I can't believe this. My wife, she wants to go to the spa. right? The therapists, the massage therapists, the estheticians, and those folks that were working at the spa before the pandemic hit, then it was shut down for a while. A lot of them haven't returned to work for various reasons. They found other jobs, or at least in the United States, where we are, I think, fairly generous with unemployment benefits that keep getting extended and extended. And I know I can say this with a straight face to this group and not worrying about how anybody takes is, while our government, with a great heart, provides people these benefits, what also happens is economically it might not be so sound as it lingers, because a lot of these people that are collecting unemployment benefits are not willing to get up off the couch to go back to their serving job, hosting job, whatever it might be, any job. And so they're just not motivated or incented. That's what the business owners are telling me, but that's what I assume to be true. So for a lot of reasons, this is occurring, and there are a lot of job openings right now. And so one thing I want to show you what's actually happening is, I am not much of a news watcher when it comes to understanding trends in the market. I tend to like to look at different sites and triangulate and make my own interpretation, have my own opinions. But there's U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that I look at that tell me what unemployment looks like, what turnover looks like, what the job openings look like, in all these different trends, what market pays look like, inflation looks like, all these things that affect employment, the housing market, and so on. And while I appreciate that these statistics are only so valid because of a number of reasons, I want to show you something from one of the sites that I look at. And while I realize this is only a US-based piece of information, this is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is where I tend to see a lot of insight related to the employment market. This thing that you're looking at right now is called a JOLTS report. It's the job openings in combination with labor turnover. And you can see this graph. This graph goes back 10 years. I extracted this morning at about 8 o'clock my time. And you can see this trend is over time, it's looking really good. And you can see this huge dip right here. Well, that's COVID hitting and a lot of people getting knocked out of work. But look at this right here. This number, if you want to see the detail of that number, if you look at the chart below, this is 11 million. That's 10 with a whole bunch of zeros after it. This is how many jobs are open in the United States right now. Now, I was telling you, sure, there's some servers or any other profession for that matter, not picking on servers at all, that aren't returning to work as quickly as they might. This is only insight that is actually reported by employers. I also have told you in the past that not all job openings are publicized or advertised or given back on these surveys back to governmental agencies and things of that nature. But you get the idea. If you look back to February and March, this 82, 88 number down here, if you can see it. I mean, these months right here, that's 5 straight months of records of since the beginning of time, since these numbers were ever captured. This is how many job openings, 5 months in a row, we've set records through, I guess I should say, March through July. July's number's preliminary, but it's probably pretty close. We've set records every month for open jobs. So I know some of you are out there already celebrating your new jobs, and you're sending me your $30 and $50 and $70 and $80 and $100,000 pay increases. And I like to think we had something to do with that, right? You worked the process, you did the right things, but you also have the wind at your back. And so I want you guys to know you have the wind at your back. And it's important that you know you have the wind at your back, because it should give you caution. And I don't want you to be hasty in the way in which you approach interviewing and job offers in particular. So I wanted you to see this insight. This is what we're dealing with. And while I realize that this is only the United States, I need you to know this is what's happening right now. And so each week when you come and you see these nice people in the chat, we wish them congratulations on their big-time job offers, or maybe even in some emails that I've sent you over the past month with people who are getting these gigantic pay increases or job offers where their pay is going way up, even if they're coming from an unemployed status. This is why this is happening. You're in the midst of a perfect storm. So the folks, those of you that are staying put with your employers, you should be thinking about your pay raises, because what's also happening is your pay has probably not been increased in a little while. And you're going to have your employer who's going to be overpaying to get new people into your organization. And what this always happens. This happens a lot, especially when we have these big gyrations in our cycles, like I just showed you in that graph. Is employers are overpaying for those new people. So somebody who's coming into your organization who probably doesn't even have as great a skills as you do, who doesn't certainly have the employer know-how, the product or service know-how, the internal processes know-how, and all that other stuff, is likely going to be getting paid more than you are. Now, if you're a new employee going into a new organization, well, good for you. But I need you to understand this is what's happening right now. It's actually been happening for months, many months. It's just that it hasn't been as noticeable. And I could see that trend way back 4 months ago. I was telling you about it 4 months ago, but I don't know if everybody was hearing me. So anyway, I wanted to be really explicit. And so this is I'm going to show you a microcosm of what I see a lot of employers doing. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have recently downloaded something from me and you are new to my community or new to my newsletter digest, I think we get about 200 to 300 people a day, day in, day out, that find me new, that sign up for the newsletter. Every single one of them gets an email. It says, welcome and more resources. That email says, hey, thanks for joining me. I'm Andy. Here's what I'm about. Here's some other stuff you should check out that's nice and free. Stop by Thursday for live office hours. Tell me about you. What problems are you facing? Well, a lot of you laugh those off because I only get so many responses from that email, but I read all of them every day. Okay, every single day there's a little item on my calendar that says read your email. And in the read your email, I read the support queue too. These emails come in. This one came in this morning. I read it, and here's what it said. Michael, who I don't know, whose name I whited out, he says, I've been offered a position. I was looking on YouTube. I get that one a lot, right? From different content about compensation, right? Or for whatever reason. And I've been offered a position. The work is in Tennessee. I live in upstate New York. Now, I previously worked with these people. So these are people he knows. So I did not apply or formally interview. This is happening a lot, right? Friends are pulling in friends. The position's full-time in Tennessee. This is going to cause his expenses to go up. He says he feels the compensation is short $20,000 based on his experience and education. He is basically saying, I'm not sure what to do, but I'm going to be prudent and I'm going to go visit the site basically to get more information. Andy, do you have any suggestions? And so, well, these are my suggestions to him, but also we're going to have Kara send him a message that says, hey, Andy made you famous in live office hours today. Go check out what he said. But I respond to a lot of these, not all of them, because it's just I don't have enough time to, but I read them to see what's happening. And I'm getting a lot of these. I'm getting a lot of, hey, thank you so much, I got a new job, but hey, I got an offer, I'm not sure if it's high enough. So, couple things. I know some of you are out there like, Andy, well, hey, this is great news, but I'm having a dickens of a time trying to find my job. Well, everybody's a little different. Depends who you are, depends where you live, depends how you're targeting the organizations. It depends how much effort you're putting in. It depends if it's the right effort and so on. So a couple things really quick in general, and then I just want to say a few more things here to Michael. Is number one, with this being the case, wherever you live in the world, number one, you should be sending out messages like crazy. I'm not talking about applying online. Okay, it's actually hard, even though there are a lot of openings in employers, for them to actually farm the applicant trashing system. So don't spend a lot of time putting your resumes into the ATS. I want you to focus on my job search challenge techniques. If you're in my premium coaching program, you have a 6-video detailed templates and all that good stuff job search challenge. If you're not in the job search coaching program, or you're not one of my boot campers, I have a 2-part free playlist that's on my YouTube channel. I would check that out, and I would make sure I'm being really consistent with sending out the messages. The second thing that I would be doing is I would be making sure, from an interviewing standpoint, that I'm investigating them every bit as much as they're investigating me. And I want you to be all buttoned up. I've got an interview playlist that's out there. You can grab the interview intervention book if that's still in the shot. I don't know if you can see that. I still give that away if you chip in for a few bucks for materials and handling. If you're in my coaching program, I would check out module 4, which is the interviewing module, and all the supplemental videos there as well about how to interview well. And then when it comes to salary negotiation, the premium members, you got the details on salary negotiation. You got loads of assets there. If you're using my free stuff, check the salary negotiation playlist on my YouTube channel. But for people like Michael, what's happening a lot, because I'm doing this in a lot of one-on-one coaching sessions as well, almost daily, I have somebody who looks like Michael, who says, hey, I got reconnected, or I did a cold boss hunting thing. I'm now negotiating with an organization. They hurried me through the process, but I'm not really sure if what they're presenting me is all buttoned up, if they've really thought this through. So what I want to say to you is a couple things. Number one, it's okay to slow the process down to make sure that you're doing your homework and they're doing their homework. If you are in my coaching program, last month I gave you the exact salary negotiation technique, how to slow it down, what to pull together, what to present to the employer, so you have access to that. But if you don't have access to that material, just make sure that you're taking a pause. I would make an assumption that whatever the offer is, it's not enough. It's probably a lower than what they'll go offer. Okay, now generally speaking, usually the first offer from an employer is not their final and best. Not usually, sometimes, okay? But make the assumption that there's a lot more room there to grow. You might be wrong, but it's better. You're better off going my way than your way if you want to make the assumption that that's a really good offer. I would be very surprised if any initial offers these days are best and final. Okay, and believe me, you need to make the argument, number 3, for Michael, why you're worth more. So you can't just say, I want more because of my experience and my education. You need to actually make a detailed argument and connect the dots for the employer about how what you do is going to impact them. Just because you're educated, you do not get paid more from me or most employers just because you have an education or degree. I don't count that as anything. I count actual work experience. That's what you get credit for. You get credit for showing me what you're going to be able to do and the impact that it's going to have in my organization. You get credit for persuasion and being able to connect the dots for me. Okay, and you get credit for making a plausible argument where you're going to need to convince me that what you're saying is true. It has nothing to do with your education. Okay, just because you have education doesn't mean you actually know how to do what I need you to do. Okay, there's a huge difference there. So I don't want you to overemphasize education. I want you to really stress your work experience. All right, and then I do want you to make the counteroffer. But the other thing that I want you to do is employers are more now than ever giving extras that I've never seen before. Let's loop back to what I was saying earlier. I cannot believe that virtually every restaurant that I go into, they're giving sign-on bonuses to servers. Okay, it's an indication of what's happening in this world. God bless them. I would go and I would sign up and I would take the $700 or $900 that they're going to give you for signing up and becoming a server in their restaurant. But this is what organizations are doing. Amazon's giving bonuses. Other organizations that never gave bonuses to frontline workers are doing that now. So this is a microcosm of what's actually happening. So extra moving expenses, a delayed move for somebody like Michael, if that's actually going to be the case that he's going to need to move. So I want to make sure that you're recognizing employers will bend over backwards because you got them over a barrel right now. And so just I want you to make sure that you're doing that. So make sure that you're slowing it down. Make sure you're assuming that there's more room to negotiate. You've got to make a plausible argument that you are worth more. It's not that you're educated or this and that. And it's great that you have experience, but experience to me does not guarantee that you're going to be able to do it in my environment. So when you're making an argument about why you want more, you need to show me how my life is going to change as a result of you being here. Okay, when I sell you a product, when you buy something from a store, it is about your transformation, not what you bring to me. Okay, so it's about the result you're expecting when you fork over the dollars. It's about the results the employer is expecting when they fork over the dollars. You need to paint a crystal clear picture of you and how that's going to happen for them. So that's a big deal. And then make sure that you are making that argument. You are asking for more, but you're also asking for some extras or other things that should go along with compensation that you might not otherwise have pressed for in a different type of environment. And if you want more on that last point, I would also check out a video I put out not too long ago on your financial worth. There's a checklist and some other stuff. I can't remember what the dang title of the video is, but if you search my channel for financial, it was within the last month or so, I released a video on that. But I would make sure that you're doing that. This is what is happening in the market right now. So I hope you guys, take that to heart. I hope you recognize that as you're searching. But if you're not getting the results you want, if you're not getting the interviews that you want, and if you're not getting over the goal line, there are intermediary steps that you have to do correctly. Even though employers are a bit more desperate to hire you than they have been, let's say sometime last year. You still need to be reaching out to the right people. You still need to be consistent with your sending out of your messages and your networking and your boss hunting and all that other good stuff. And then when you get in the interviews, you still gotta win the job. You got other people competing with you, but you still gotta make the case for why you're worth what you're worth. And you do that through your interview stories, and you do that through your salary counteroffers. All right, so I wanted to open up the show with that because I think you needed to hear it. I think you needed to see it that way. I'm sure you've got a lot of other trainers out there telling you that everybody's resigning and all that good stuff. But this is what this can mean for you. So take that out there, go get them. And if you're here with me live, we'll go to the Q&A. If you're watching this on the recording, I will see you next week. All right, what do we got now? Let me get back to my. I got one quick announcement along the lines of my coaching program. We didn't tell you this in the email this morning, but I was going to have a little bit of a flash sale because we have a private group coaching session for members of my job search coaching program, my boot campers, I call them, next Thursday. So that's going to displace the live office hours slot. If you are interested in joining that program, we did put it on special this morning, so you can get $100 off. Check it out. Maybe Kara can plop that in the chat. It'll be on special this week. I've got some really cool things I'm going to be sending you next week. A great case study and 12 tips on getting the job and getting hired from actually an interview I did with one of my boot campers. I'll be putting that on in the Tuesday Digest. Got a few other things. I've got some more detail about this topic. I'll be sending you on Wednesday as well. But if you want, it's on special till Thursday, so, and you can come and join me. All right, let's see. We actually had one of my boot campers whose chat disappeared. Kevin Martinez, great to see you, my friend. Part 1, I may be getting an offer soon, but not from a target company. It may or may not be a good fit, not sure yet. I am out of work and would like to accept it, but still want to keep looking. Is it okay to accept a survival job and keep looking? How do I handle this on the resume, LinkedIn, and tell future employers? Okay, so notwithstanding everything I just said for the last 22 minutes or 24 minutes, number one, I will never tell you what you should do, and I can never completely, through my coaching, simulate exactly what you're going through, meaning I don't know how much pressure you're under to accept a job. I don't know how many mouths you're feeding. I don't know what your mortgage is. I don't know, right, all this other stuff, if you can put food on the table, so to speak. And so some of that and your other circumstances, your environment and all that other good stuff is going to affect how long you can go. Now, if you need to accept a job to survive, I want you to do that because I want you to survive. I'd love for you to be happy and be in a dream job, but I get the reality and the practicality of all of this. So if you're asking for consent, I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to tell you how I would think through this. If you need to accept a job because you need to put money on the table, then I support that, and I want you to do whatever you need to do to survive. It is going to create issues with the next employer. Now, I'm going to help you here. I'm going to give you some insight into what I might say to them, but that's also going to lead to problems. It's kind of like you don't get anything for free. So let's say you take the survival job. I understand that. I support you. You're a great person. No one's going to call you a bad person. Now, you're going to leave in a month, let's say, or a month, 6 weeks, whatever it is. You're going to go to that employer and you're going to say, I'm out of here. You're going to go to another employer, because you're not going to say that until you have another job. And when you're in the interviewing process, so I'm going to sit across from you, somebody like me, and they're going to say, Kevin, looks like you just took a new job. What are you doing here in front of me? And what are you going to say? You're going to say something like, I took a job for survival mode. It wasn't my dream job, but I needed the paycheck, and that's why I'm still open to looking. Kevin, well, how do I know I'm not just another survival job? You're going to get tangled up in this. So you're going to need to think through how you're going to respond to that. Now, the rebuttal to my rebuttal to you is, well, I kept looking. You've been on my target company list. I've been trying to get an interview with you because. The word because is your best friend. You need to give them the rationale in the wake of the because. So you want to tell them why they're different. You need to tell them why you won't leave them. And you're going to need to lay it out. So by taking that survival job, you're going to need to introduce this in your interviews. I'm not overly concerned about what it looks like on LinkedIn, and I'm not super concerned about what it looks like on your resume right now, meaning employers are going to be I just got done showing you the chart, right? They're going to be more forgiving of things like this right now. They will. That's what they do. That's what they do. They get desperate, so what do? They lower their standards of what's an acceptable response. Okay, sounds fair. You look good. You got the goods. You're a senior guy, high earner, all that good stuff, right? I know that. So they might overlook that. Now, it isn't right now that I'm going to be worried about it. It's 5 years from now when you're going to be explaining this again. Hey, what happened there? Then you're going to have to say that. Then you want to hope that you had a nice long run behind it, meaning after it, meaning now through whenever. So you gotta worry about those things at the moment. I'm not overly concerned. I don't think if you don't want to put this on your LinkedIn profile right away, you don't need to. And depending on if you immediately go into new interviews with other prospective employers, you might not even need to put it on your resume as if, well, I haven't updated my resume because I just took this new job. But I mean, that's a way to handle it. I don't love all that, and I think you're going to get into some sticky conversations, but that's a sticky situation that you're putting yourself in, and I appreciate why you need to do that. I just want you to be ready for those types of conversations. It's a good one. And I would make sure that I had my becauses in order. I hope that helps, my friend. Okay. Adam Stark from the other side of the pond. Following the target list video, Do you have more advice to find some more companies? I gave you 12. I think you can manage with those. Some companies have internal event planners, but it may not be obvious. Event companies are easy to find. Assume that every large company has an internal event planner. And I don't believe you are in the boot camp. I believe you're in the mini camp. In the boot camp, I have a whole session, a whole extra session that is not anywhere in the public domain about how to surface and triangulate additional directions and additional companies. But I'm not going to go into that here. But you can get by with those 12, and you can make an assumption, the 12 in the public domain, and you can get by with the assumption that all large companies will have a designated event planning crew. All right, hope that helps. Drew, new username and icon. Yeah, but you're the same old Drew to me. Tough day today. It's been 1 calendar year since I lost my job. Buddy, hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. Hi, Dana. Oh, see, some of you read the email this morning. Actually, my Ironman is not, or my half Ironman, I should say, is not this weekend. This weekend is an Olympic triathlon that I'm doing in Wisconsin, and then it's a tune-up, and then in 2 weeks I'm heading for my half Ironman. But thank you for the wishes. It's all the same. I mean, it's all the good-hearted nature of it's all the same to me. LXX, excited too. Hey, Mom, is that really my child? Just recently tried PB&J. Okay, the peanut butter and jelly thing. I forgot to tell you guys this. Okay, so you've been following my peanut butter and jelly saga. Well, it's not a saga. It's like, what a delicacy, and where's this been all my life? When I was a child, I loved peanuts. Now, I mean, I'm like a peanut nut, okay? So, I mean, like, no pun intended. And I love peanuts. I always have loved peanuts. And so my mom probably said, hey, try this peanut butter when I was a kid. And I ate jelly, but peanut butter, I was like, this isn't peanut butter. So, like all the preservatives in there and all the other stuff that they put in there that makes it taste nothing like actual peanuts. So I never ate a peanut butter and jelly because I didn't like peanut butter, the peanut butter that I thought existed. And then as I got into adulthood, I don't eat refined sugar, anything that has sugar in it. I don't eat gluten. Really, it's not a staple in my diet. But I've needed more calories. I need like 4,000 calories a day. I've got to eat in order to keep weight on. So I needed a different multi-hour, 6 hours of working out in a row, something to eat. So I in my adult life, this ex-girlfriend of mine, when I was telling her I've never eaten a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I don't like the way peanut butter tastes, she says, well, have you ever tried natural peanut butter? It's natural peanut butter. What's that? And so she introduced me to natural peanut butter. So by the time I discovered that I love natural peanut butter, I wasn't eating sugar and I didn't eat gluten. So I out of necessity, I tried that on a bagel or something, and it actually might have been a bread, but anyway, I just love them. And so now I'm eating them, and for the next 3 weeks, I get to eat them. And then I'll stop eating them because they, will go against my normal diet. But anyway, yes, peanut butter and jelly, and that's how it happened. Never the right time. Oh, wait. Testimonial, Jules. Hi, Andy. Happy to report that I completed my 3rd round of interviews at my dream company. They were impressed with my 90-day plan. Everything you teach is pure gold. Jules is one of my boot campers, and I don't know where that is in the queue there. But Jules, I am so happy for you. Keep rolling. I think I owe you a response, maybe in the system somewhere. I'm getting pretty caught up, but I think you put something to that effect in there, and I just haven't gotten back to you, but so happy for you. Keep rolling on that. All right, Dana is a boot camper, and I have experience with payment systems. It's not on my resume because I can't quantify it. Some companies and roles I'm interested in mention it. How would you demonstrate this? Dana, if this is the case, first of all, let me be really clear about resume writing. And by the way, I'm going to make a little announcement now. I'm going to be doing a whole resume thing on, Kara, what's the date? October 20th. Oh, my Slack disappeared. October 20th, I think it is. We're having a little special, it's a Wednesday, and I think we're going to be doing a little special resume thing that day. But yes, I am about quantifying benefits, but one of the things that I would say to you is if you actually legit have payments experience or payment systems experience, you should put that on your resume if it comes up, especially if you're applying for a role that where that would benefit you. If you cannot quantify something related to the payment systems in terms of benefits, you can always quantify for context the magnitude of the payment system you worked. Did you design it and implement it? What did you do with it? Can you just give me some context? And then from an intangibles benefits perspective, can you articulate what the benefit was, even if you cannot quantify it, is better than nothing. Right? You at least want to have a conversation about it. And it will help if they are the eyeball test, right? If they're looking. And not that I ever want you putting your resume in an applicant tracking system, and I know you're really good about not, but I know occasionally we need to. I would do it. So I would put it in. I would have it in my resume. And Kara is telling me that yes, October 20th is the date. I have like most of the year planned for you guys, but we just don't give it all away at once, because I'm a big believer that if I have a lot of bad news, you give it all at once, right? Rip the Band-Aid off really quick. But if you have good news, you sprinkle it. You make it last. It's kind of like my dogs with the treats. Hey, is Harley still... Harley jumped back up there. I think he wanted to say hello to everybody when we started the show, but now he doesn't seem to be there. Grace, what's a good word? Okay, Grace is saying, my boot camper Grace. I wish I knew which boot camper Grace you were. I took your advice, Andy, targeting the company and not the role. Role fine, but I felt it would evolve because company is growing fast. That's good. So far, so good. Great interview, ×2, no offer. Feedback from them, felt I wouldn't sufficiently be challenged by the role. Any advice on how to preempt this at interview? Okay, this is code for, it's one of two things. So I'm not sure which Grace you are. I'm not sure how old you are. But the one thing that I would say is number one, you always want to talk about how enthusiastic you are about the role and explain the rationale behind why that is important to you. So as an example, one we get, this is just one that I see a lot from a recruitment standpoint, where you've got like somebody who's a sales manager who is interviewing for an individual contributor selling role. And somebody might say, well, we're not sure you would be challenged by that role. And your response to that as the salesperson would be, no, I like selling a lot, and the reason is because I get to interact with the customers more, and I really like solving their problems more and building the relationships with them, and that to me is where the rubber hits the road. And I realize it's nice to be able to manage sales people. There's a lot of admin that goes along with it. So while I love doing that as well, I really like doing this because, and something like that, you need to keep reiterating that. Now, the other side of this coin is the overqualified rationale. Grace, we think you're overqualified and you won't ultimately be happy. You got to take it one of a number of ways. The first one is you got to reiterate why you would be happy and explain, I joined a company, I don't join a job. Here's why it's so important for me to join this particular company, so on and so forth. That's route one. Route two is, I'll tell you what, if you feel like you really like me, I really like you, and you're not sure how enthused I'll be, is there an opportunity for you to augment the role or at least put me on a path so that when I perform well, you'll appreciate and reward it appropriately? Or you can augment the scope of the role to make it more commensurate with my abilities at the moment, right, as I walk in the door. That's another route, and that route also knocks out the we're not sure we can pay you enough. Because if you augment the scope, they should be paying more kind of thing. So you want to go those different routes. I have overqualified videos out on YouTube. I would also check those out, Grace, and anybody else who's getting this. Now, the fact of the matter is they could have just found somebody who was a better match skill-wise, might have been less expensive, or they connected with more effectively. Okay. The other thing, Grace, that I would do, I mean, I just put this video out on Tuesday. And it was, if the employer doesn't have any reservations about you, but ultimately doesn't hire you, I would check that video out as well. So try that. So there's preemptive activity in there. There's the during and in the midst of it. And then there's the when you get down to the end and they're not sure they want to give you the offer. Jim R., what's the good word? My boot camper. And hey, baby girl, how do? Nice to see you. Yes, I've got those I'm on the little triathlon circuit here for the next couple of weeks. Boy, I told you guys you couldn't even imagine what my life has been like for the last year. Training 20 plus hours a week. That's just the training part, not to include the stretching part. And when you throw in a 70-hour work week, there's like something like 13 to 15 discretionary hours I have a week. That means I haven't even hugged my wife or called my mom or any of that stuff. So I promised my wife that she and I would do some events and things next year, whatever she wants. So but I'm glad it's coming to fruition here. John, my broad executive experience seems to hurt me in a market where specialization is rewarded. I may seem too expensive and too old, yet I'm a digital native with an always learning mindset thoughts. Yes. I don't know if she's here, but I did a coaching session with a woman who's pretty awesome, Gail. And similar kind of thing where it's difficult for us to harness and distill down what the most important kind of the parts of our experience and skill set that will resonate with somebody who doesn't know us. Meaning, when you have a wide array of skills, you are greatly at risk of being dismissed immediately because I don't know what your bread and butter is. And everybody, John, everybody, my words here. You need the bread and butter skill to have the spotlight on it in your resume. There can be no misunderstanding about what it is that you do. Okay? So it can't be vague. It can't be, well, I can do everything, therefore I am a senior executive. No. Well, that is, if you are a practice leader, if you're a chief operating officer, if you're a senior vice president or whatever, that's got to come through. And that can be articulated and distilled down. But if you are highlighting many skills, that can be confusing. Where does this all start? I did a resume review, somebody in my programs the other day, and I read the entire career profile. I still didn't understand what the individual did. And so the feedback I was trying to relay is, in 1 second, I need to know what your bread and butter is. And the easiest way to do that is the 2 to 3 word descriptor that is in the upper left-hand corner and the first thing they should see after your name. Not below your name, like down to the left in the story. So on the left for you, what are you? I'm a senior what? I'm an experienced what? Digital whatever. Senior product developer. Whatever it is, I need to know immediately. And then everything else I read beyond that becomes supporting evidence of things I should actually expect to see from whatever I saw in that 2 to 3 word descriptor that is your 1 second test that tells me what you are. Do not, people, biggest mistake I see, and the thing that annoys the crap out of recruiters is when you have your name and whatever your vital stats, right? Your signs up, your telephone number, your email, whatever. And then under it you put Senior vice president, director, or of something like that. No one cares about that. They need to know functionally what you do. They'll figure out where you're layered, how much of an impact you can give, what should be called, and all that stuff. They need to know functionally what do you do. And so you've got to distill it down. So it isn't the fact that the market rewards specialization. It's the recognition of what your specialization is. And if you come with all these other things, John, awesome. I want that. It's making the connection for me to understand through your resume and through your interview storytelling that this is my bread and butter. If your bread and butter is building teams, then you need to make sure that that comes through what kind of teams you build. What happened as a result of the teams you built? What did they do? Kind of thing. All that flows through what you want, what your resume markets you to get and supports that you can do, and then the interview stories that talk about how you're going to benefit the employer because you are one of those. And the lifelong learner, and I'm a lifelong learner, all that stuff, and most people here, I'm guessing, are too. So employers, that doesn't resonate with them. Your attitude comes through in the overall interviewing process, and they'll pick up on that. But you got to get in play in order to show them that that's how you are. I hope that helped there. Now, enthusiast. Hi, Andy, big fan of yours. That's very nice, thank you. Interview went good, but recruiter was shocked to hear that I want 11% more than the offer. Did my research, thought my ask was reasonable, but recruiter did not agree. I was surprised that the recruiter was shocked at my ask. I have seen your videos about negotiation, and I gave a number after my final round. Any advice on these kind of situations? Now, enthusiast. Okay, so number one, they shouldn't be shocked. 11% is not a lot of money, and it doesn't make any difference where you are in the spectrum. Meaning, if you make 55 or 50,000 and you asked for 55 or 56 or whatever it was, or you make 500,000 and you asked for 55K more. Those are not big numbers in a way of counteroffer. That to me isn't what shocks the recruiter. What shocks the recruiter is, number one, if they're not very experienced recruiters, if they think everybody wants to work, like a lot of people think everybody wants to work at their company when that's not the case. The other thing is, if you didn't make the argument effectively of why you are worth those additional dollars, shocked, I'm assuming that the recruiter said, I'm shocked. If the recruiter didn't say, I'm shocked, but that's your inference, they didn't, right? Maybe you thought they implied it, but that's what you inferred, then my guess is you didn't make the argument effectively. So as far as what my advice would be, it would be check my salary negotiation playlist, especially for the situations where you're making the counteroffer or what to say in the wake of offers that are lower than you think they should be. So that's what I would do there. Remember, someone else's reaction is based on their experience and their expectations. That's nothing to do with you. Okay? What's important for you is that you're controlling what you can control and making the argument that I am worth this because. Not because you want it, but here's why. Here's what 11% means to you, but here's what the ROI on that 11% is going to be. You got to be able to make that case. Otherwise, you're not going to get the raise or I should say the additional dollars. Raul, what's the good word, buddy? Bootcamper, yes. Company anonymous surveys. Are they really anonymous? Should we be careful or honest about what we feel? Thank you for your insights. Raul, I'm assuming you mean your own employer's survey. Okay, so like when we put MileWalk puts a survey out in the we say, hey, would you mind giving us this data? Most of them, when we say they're anonymous, they're anonymous. If we don't say anything that they're not anonymous, we might be able to see your email address or whatever. Maybe that's helpful for us to know, but we would probably disclaim that. So in this case, if you're asking about like an employee satisfaction survey or something like that, in my experience, they are not anonymous. and they do know who says what. So I would, and just like anything else in life, if you don't believe in God, that's okay. But if you're gonna go around being a bad person and there is a God, it's kind of like that. So I always feel like if you could be there's always a tactful way to provide insight, and so I'm always rather safe than sorry in those cases. Maxwell, hey Annie, as an international wanting to work for a U.S. company, I would need the company to sponsor me for an H-1B visa. What can I do to sell myself more during the interview? Fantastic question. Obviously, this is more difficult when you need employment sponsorship. So here's what I do to improve my odds. This is a great question. If you want to improve your odds, a couple of things. If you are an international and you are interviewing with U.S.-based companies, number one, you could interview if there is a location in your home country to get into the organization, prove yourself, and then have them move you. That's a route. That's one. Second route is if you're going to be applying, it's not an insurmountable hurdle that you have here. Organizations pop out H-1B visas every day. It becomes more difficult when there are not a lot of openings and they need to hire a lot of people. It becomes immensely easier in situations like we're in right now, where employers are having a harder time filling their open positions. Now, to give yourself the best chance, so you have that at your back, the wind at your back. But to give yourself the best chance, you need to highlight or have a specialty skill that is in high demand. Either there's not that many people in the world who have this particular skill, or there is a particular skill that a lot of people have, but there's a huge need for it. Okay, so you've got to highlight those things. So when you talk about selling yourself during the interview, you want to make sure that you are focusing on something that they cannot get elsewhere, or you are so good at this that they just have to have you. And it may sound trite, but that is what they're going to focus on. Because if I could get that skill in somebody else who's in the U.S., they automatically are going to be cheaper, even if I pay you both the same wages. Because I have to pay for your visa sponsorship, and depending on where you are in the process, that visa could cost a certain amount of money. The legal fees are a certain amount of money. The filing fees are a certain amount of money. Then to carry, it's a certain amount of money. Then if you move on and you stay in the U.S., there's green card process or whatever. All that stuff adds up. So it's got to be either a highly in demand skill or a very, very unique skill that is in demand, but there's not a lot of you that have it. So it's about highlighting that. That's gonna supersede your great attitude, your cultural fit, and all that other stuff. Kevin, my new boot camper, yes, am having my 10th interview, oh my goodness, with HR today in 4 hours. Just listen to negotiation session in a boot camp. Any other suggestions? So when you say your 10th interview with HR, Kevin, it's a little confusing. Are you having, like, you're having 10, you had 10 interviews and you had an HR in the beginning and then you had a bunch of interviews, like 8, and now you're going back to HR, and that's why you mentioned about the negotiation suggestions. Okay, I'm going to assume that that's the case, and it wasn't, I got 10 interviews and I got another one with HR here. So I'm assuming that that's the former is what you're asking. The one thing that you want to make sure is that if you said you watched the negotiation session in the boot camp, there are multiple negotiation sessions. There's a main session, and then there are supplemental sessions. And one thing I would definitely watch is the case study there as well. That is in the module itself, but it's not the main session, but it's a breakout session. Now, the one big tip I want to give you here is if HR comes to you, this is the 10th interview, they say, Kevin, you the man, and we want to give you an offer. What do you want? You say, I'm open to a fair offer. I really want to understand, how your compensation structure works and how everything looks together before I could actually give you a number of what I would expect or any kind of range that would make sense. So just please, I'm receptive to a fair offer, whatever you feel is appropriate based on how I performed and the value you think I'm going to provide. You want to react to their offer. You do not want to pitch them a range, because there are entirely too many things that can go wrong. Until you have every single facet, of which there are going to be 20 things that go into that offer, right? There's everything from salary, bonuses, profit sharing, 401k match, vacation, PTO, other expense reimbursements, training costs. I don't know if you get relocated or what, any of the other stuff. Stock, incentive stock options, restricted stock units, phantom stocks, profit interest units, all that stuff could be there. Until you truly see the whole thing put together, you can't give them a range. We had a situation a couple of weeks ago. Somebody, barfed out a number. Then the employer came back, right? 2/3 of the way up. Here's the range. 10 to 30,000. They came in at 25, higher, right? Well, hang on, we went way above that midpoint. We think this is generous. Yeah, but I didn't know the healthcare cost me $2,500 a month, right? Kind of thing. So this is why you don't do things like that. So Kevin, biggest piece of advice, make them pitch. Okay, you catch it. All right? All right, good luck on that, my man. Oh, had 9 previous? Yeah, baby. Okay, Kevin, do this. Okay, so Kara's telling me, or somebody's saying, or you must have dropped this down in the chat. After you get the offer, if you got any questions, go in the Mile Walk Academy system, go to Module 5, go under the video, plop in any questions you have, and I will keep a lookout, okay? And I'll make sure that I respond quickly, because I'm getting on the road here for the triathlon soon. So I want to make sure that if you got any insight, you get in the system, and I'll keep an eye out for it. Okay, that way I'll get back to you with my feedback, and because we want to get you over the hump on this. And I wish you a lot of luck. So we'll be here for you. All right, Kara's telling me. Let's see what we got here. Vicky Hartman, thanks for your help. I've been through Amazon interviews, felt confident using your techniques. I think they dwell so much on a script and miss the candidate as a person. Your advice keeps me sane. Vicky, I want to tell you this. Number one, thank you for being a part of my programs. Number two, thank you for the insight, and I'm so glad to hear that you're feeling more confident. And number three or four, those Amazon interviews, I coach a lot of people for those interviews. They are very robotic, and there is, while they like to think there's a method to the madness, there isn't. And the way they try to disguise things and do these cheeky and coy things is beyond me, why this happens. But it can leave many a candidate confused, and I've got a whole booklet and stuff on these kinds of things that I use when I'm coaching people for Amazon reviews, so or interviews, I should say. And their loop interview and all the the hider and all that other stuff is nuts. But I'm appreciate the feedback. Okay. Kara, I got that item on Manu. It's registered. I'll talk about that in a wee bit. Hey, Patricia, Laura F, how are you from sunny Cal? You're one of my boot campers, aren't you? New boot camper. All right, let's see. What do we got here? David Searles, my man. How awesome was that to have breakfast with me on Tuesday? Dude, you're the best. Hey, Andy, I assume we attach our resumes when sending out boss hunting emails? Yes, 100%. Is this correct? Yes, 100%. If so, Word or PDF? My friend and everybody who's not David Searles, here's the deal. You go into an applicant trashing system, you give them the Word document. You send an email or a LinkedIn in-mail or a DM or a whatever, you give them a PDF. Final answer, safety reasons on both ends, go get them. Stephen Green, my man, how do? Contra Cheetah, hey to you. Thank you for all the nice remarks on the YouTube channel. I appreciate them. I read them all. Deepak, what's the good word? Okay, David Searles again. When boss hunting or networking via email and attempting to initiate a live phone discussion, should we ask for 20, 30, or 60 minutes? David, I wouldn't ask for anything. And actually, you didn't ask me this question, but since we're on this subject, I don't get asked this a lot, but let me offer this up. Number one, in the boss hunting, I've given you, David, not only the templates, but the whole Bible. Okay, so for those of you that are in the job search coaching program, like David, you have a thick Bible that has the templates, it has all the instructions, it has the do's, the don'ts, the how-tos, and all that. Then it has what to say each time they respond to you. There's like 9 or 10 common rebuttals that come back to you. I've given you the templates for all of those as well. All right. Now, in none of those, 0, do you ever ask for an allotted amount of time. Just get them on the phone. If they say, hey, David, this is great, I'd love to talk to you, you say, okay, how long should I set aside? Right? That kind of stuff. Now, I want to take this one step further. For any of you, here is a huge pet peeve of most people who are human. At the end of your, the templates of mine will never have this of any kind not a rebuttal, not a template, not a nothing. Whenever you send a message to somebody, don't ever say, can we set up a 20-minute phone call? Can we set up a 60-minute phone call? Would you be open to a 20-minute? Don't say any of that. No, I understand it's not mean or anything. It's just, number one, it's really presumptuous, and number two, you have no idea whether it's going to take 20 minutes or 2 hours to get through everything. You just don't know. So just don't do that. Just, would you be open to connecting? I look forward to hearing from you. I appreciate you looking at this. Whatever, however you want to end it, but don't do that. And definitely, whatever you do, people, don't send, here's my Calendly, here's my whatever. Feel free to schedule this on my Google Calendar. Hey, don't do any of that stuff. Oh my God, it's skin crawling. Okay, so don't do any of that, and don't don't open up with, can we set up a, like, it's just, stay away from all that stuff. Send them a thoughtful message. Tell them why it's compelling that they should talk to you, and that's it. Go get them. Keith, how do? Daryl Newman, what's the good word? How do I remain positive in my job search, which has not resulted in job offers over 2 years? Daryl, number one, hang in there. I know it can be tough, and I do have a couple videos out there about, literally, it's staying positive in your job search, and I give you the techniques to do this. So I want to point you to that. But the one remark I want to mention here, one thing I want to mention here is okay, so first off, we get frustrated when things don't turn out the way that we hoped, and usually what happens is those are because of our expectations. Like, Daryl, have been great in my job for many, many years. Why am I having such a tough time? We have expectations that we should be able to do something, meaning get a job, and I'm not sure why this isn't working. And we get frustrated. We get frustrated for any kind of expectations. But most of that is because we either don't have experience in what we're setting our estimates for or our expectations, but most of the time we get unhappy because we're focusing on things that are not within our control, meaning we're dwelling on things like the results, like, well, they didn't get back to me, or they got back to me and said they'd get back to me with a time to discuss the whatever, and they never got back to me. And that really bothers me. And while I would love for them to follow through, that's not within your control. So the reasons that we can, or I should say the methods that we can use to stay more positive are dwelling on the things that we can actually focus on, actually control and focus on those. I can control my ability to search and find companies. I can control my ability to craft a well-thoughtful networking message or boss hunting message or cover letter or whatever it is, and I can control my ability to send it. I cannot control my ability make them respond, or I cannot control them responding. However, I can control my evaluation of what's happening. These people got back to me, these people didn't. You look for the trends and so on. Everything that you are focusing on, your energy and your focus is all on things that are 100% in your control. And if you stay consistent in doing those things, your results are going to be better. And at a minimum, you're going to be less stressed out. So, but I would point you to that video about how to stay positive in my job search, because I do go into a lot of this, and tactically I lay out a scheme for you. Carrie Freeman, hey to you. Katrina, I am correct, because I do read those things and I do appreciate those kind words and your questions. Just buzzing through. Ian, how are you, my boot camper? Vanessa, what's the good word? Nicole Young, this looks like a question. I started a position at what I thought was my dream company 3 months ago, and now I don't like the work. What would you recommend? I was previously unemployed for over a year, but I don't know. Okay, couple of things. Andy Time Machine here. All right, we're gonna go back. I know you can't go back. First thing, I say this to you all. This has nothing to do with job searching. This is life. Every experience that we go through, I want you to actually experience it and gain the benefits of the experience. So what do I mean? Why am I saying this in the wake of what she's asking? Well, number one, don't miss the opportunity to take a look back at, is there anything I could have done 100 days ago that would have told me that I wouldn't like this work now? Okay, knowing what I know now, is there anything I could have done 3 months ago and some change, right, before I accepted this job? Because if you're not going to take a moment to reflect and attach meaning to what's happening to you and learn from it, that's the thing that would make me the saddest. Okay, it really would. What can you learn from this? I'm not talking about, okay, I'm going to get to the part about have a good attitude, but no, I want you to get something out of this. So what was it that you could have evaluated, detected, asked about, better phrased your questions, dug deeper, or anything? Believe me, if you're 3 months in and you're not liking the work, the evidence was there. You either didn't dig deep enough, you weren't skilled enough to elicit the information, and so on. It's not a knock on you. Job searching and job changing is hard, okay? My point to you is, please learn from it. Second thing is, I would look at what I'm doing, and I would actually challenge you. This is the first challenge, to, with what you're doing, you say, I don't like the work. Okay, what can you control? First thing is, you don't even have to go to anybody. What can I make of my day, and how can I approach this so that I could get the best experience out of it, I can learn the most, and I can have the most fun? Is there anything I can change up? Is there anything I can add to it? Can I challenge myself? Can I make this harder? Can I make it better? Right, that kind of stuff. That'd be the first recommendation. Second recommendation is, I would go to my boss or whoever I was talking to, and I would say, okay, hey, is there any way we can kind of sexy this up a bit? I wouldn't use those words, but you know what I mean. And then say, hey, look, here's what I'm thinking, or here's what I would really maybe be helpful, or, I realize that this is the job, but, maybe I could do this or that, or pick up this or that, or whatever. Take it one step further, whatever it is. Now, I realize you were previously unemployed for a long time, which might have made you pull the trigger quickly. I appreciate and respect that, okay? I know you did what you had to do, but I still don't want to lose this opportunity while we're talking here to not give you the feedback that the lesson in this is making sure that before you take that job, before you take your next job, you're making sure that you're covering that base. Okay, now I would keep going, and I would try to break through the wall. I would try to go as long as I could to make it as best situation that I could. But if you truly don't love it, then what I would do, unlike Kevin Martinez's situation, is in your case, if you decide to bug out, in your case, I would, if you're interviewing with me and I say, hey, Nicole, you look like you've been at this company for 3 months, you say, Andy, you know what? I was unemployed for a year. I had my list of everything I wanted in my dream company. I evaluated, I searched the market, I did all this and that, but you know what? I needed to put food on the table. Here we are 3 months later. I'm still looking, and you got the goods, and here's why I want to join you. That's a little easier, okay? So then that's your next step. That's your out. But that's not difficult. It is not difficult to explain to an employer or for them to digest that you took a job because you needed to. I want you to share information. Get this message, people. I need you to share information that works to your advantage. Okay, so I'm not just going to make a point about this. Where else might you want to do this? You know that feedback about, well, you know, why would you ever tell an employer what you earn currently? Doesn't that work against you? Well, not all the time. Sometimes it serves to explain your position, to give them perspective so that they can see it from your vantage point, so that they can work with you, so you can work together to actually come to a more amenable agreement based on how you feel. And while how you feel about what I'm going to pay you is not my problem, it is my problem if I want to get married to you, right? I need to consider your feelings. So these are the kind of things. Nicole, in your case, you could use your situation as an asset when you go to the next employer. So, take it through the steps. Take a look back and reflect. Adjust the attitude. Look for opportunities to make it better. What can I get out of this? How can I make it fun? And all that good stuff. Have the right attitude. If that doesn't work, or you sustain that for a period of time and then it's time to move on, when you go to the next employer, just use that as, hey, why are you leaving so soon? All right, I hope that helps. All right, wait, I got a couple things here that I want to comment on. Let's see. Kara is saying, Renata Pimenta, can you talk more about your leadership development program? And Manu was asking something probably more leadership-y. Let's see, my manager asked me to apply for a one-step-up position, whereas I am otherwise expecting to be promoted to the same position this fall. How should I handle this? A couple things, and it's the team is sending me these because they know that in October, so I have a job search coaching program. That's how to find the right job and all the things that you would need. That's my boot camp. That's the job search side of the curriculum. That's my signature program. I have a career development and leadership and self-help and high performance curriculum, which is a membership, which is my leadership coaching program. So there's two main things that I do. Those two things. And one of the things that happens in the leadership coaching program is every 4 weeks we meet as a group and I teach. I give them assets, workbooks, other things that go along with developmental skills and tools and techniques and those kinds of things. In October, we're going to be talking about getting ready for your performance reviews. I want to make sure that you got enough time to do what I need you to do so that when the end of the year rolls around, you're ready to, whether it's promotion, just annual performance reviews or whatever, you're in order. In November, we're talking about pay increases and how to negotiate your pay raises because I want you to have that in order. We just did a session on coaching and mentoring people, hiring, and some other stuff. So there's a monthly session that the members get to come to, or they get the replay, and there's some other training course bonuses. So Renata, that's something that you can pay for on a monthly subscription or an annual subscription or a lifetime subscription, and my team can put the link in the chat on that. It's a really great program, and if you are already in my job search coaching program, we actually give you a discount in the leadership coaching program if you enroll on the monthly basis. Now for Manu, the question about, I have my manager asked me to apply for a one step up, whereas I am otherwise expecting to be promoted to the same position this fall. How should I handle this? In that case, I think this is a no-brainer in terms of what to do. You used a great word there. You expect to. Now, you expect to because You either think you deserve it or somebody told you that you are going to be promoted. But the fact that your manager, who should have the most influence over that, is asking you to apply, I would simply, straightforward answer here, I would apply, let them know you're interested, say and I never make any assumptions. I would go to my manager and say, I'm going to apply. Is there any gaps that you see between where I am now and where I need to be in order to receive this promotion in the fall? What's that akin to? When you're searching for a job, what are the videos I just put out the other day and a couple of weeks ago? Right at the end of an interview, do you have any reservations about hiring me? And what happens? This is akin to that. So you're looking for the gap between where am I now and where do I need to be? And is there anything missing? Do I have to collapse any gap here between now and the fall? And we're there already, right? So I don't know if the fall is, fall is in a couple of weeks, in a week or two. So that's my thought on that. A lot of these things that, and it's not just about career development in the leadership program. I mean, we do lifestyle and wellness, organization and productivity, relationship building, communication, speaking, listening, presentation giving, influence, persuasion, all that high performance stuff is in there as well. It's really, I love these two programs of mine, and the people in them are really great. So I hope that helps. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Ian, if higher wages stick, inflation will stick. Wage push inflation. That is true. There's obviously a lot of influences, but for sure. Mango, you sure can get a private session. There are multiple ways to get private sessions with me. The easiest thing to do is email support@milewalk.com and let us know what you need the private session for. Meaning, I need help figuring out my life, my career, my direction. I need interviewing help. I need salary negotiation help. We can give you the options to get with me. And depending on which of my programs you're in, I do offer a discounted rate on my one-to-one coaching, or there's a package of coaching sessions. There's other things. But we can explain what the smartest options would be based on what it is you need. Let's see here. Hey Andy, how can one find their next calling? I like a lot of different roles and positions and feel lost and like compromising. Software engineer, DevOps, and team lead background. Okay, so one of the things here I would say is on the free side, I do have some videos on how to find your gift and how to find the right job and videos like that. But for those of you that are in, speaking of the job search coaching program, which is now on sale till next Thursday, the first module of the boot camp, of the coaching program, it not only helps you break all this down, but one of the biggest things that you need to do as you assess the route you're going to take is you need to know what gold looks like when you find it, which is not always so easy. So I give you all of that. I spoon feed you all this. I teach you how to test your directions and test your why, but I also teach you how, if you're not certain, like in your case, software engineering, DevOps, team lead, whatever, there are different avenues you can pursue. I actually will teach you how to get on the trajectory where you're not wasting any time and you're heading in the direction of these options. And what happens as we get into something? It gets more clear. Right? When you're doing, right, you have more information about your plan and how to adjust it, right? And I teach you how to stay in the lane so that you actually are triangulating it early enough on where you take steps that will not be wasted. That's not in the public domain anywhere. I'm not putting that out on my YouTube channel. That stuff's in the premium programs. So I don't know if whoever asked that, Minois, if you're in the boot camp, but if you are, go to module 1. There's supplemental, go through it, and then there's also the supplemental sessions. There's the main session, and then there's supplemental sessions that will help you with that triangulating. That's really great stuff. By the way, in the coaching program, which I didn't go through all what's in there, you get everything you need. You get all the sessions. Everything's recorded. Everything's self-paced. But you also get to come to the live coaching sessions that we have every month. Those are private to members of that program. And you have online support, which, like you heard me talking with Kevin. Kevin's going to go and he's going to figure out if he's going to get a job offer, and then he's going to have some questions. So he'll go in the system and he can ask me, and then I'll reply to him. That's my dedication to you. So it's a pretty good deal. It's one enrollment to keep it forever, and to attend the sessions forever. Highlighter. Hi, Andy. Should we wait until we've prepared and practiced the interview questions and then start applying? And for a marketing interview, can we use stories from sales positions if it's more relevant? Number one, so on the one hand, I'm not saying do that. I like to have my ducks in a row, and I would target organizations and start getting, I'd have my resume and my cover letter in order. I would target bosses. I would target organizations. I would target the bosses my potential boss at the organizations, and I would get going, get stuff moving. And while that's in motion, I would make sure that I was spending a portion of my day prepping my interview answers and all that good stuff. Now, second part of your question is, for a marketing interview, can we use stories from sales positions? Only if they're relevant. So I'm assuming if you're applying for a marketing job and you have sales experience, those are two different things. Marketing and sales are not the same thing. So if the question that is being asked has to do with your marketing experience, or they want marketing, marketing projects or whatever, if you have capabilities that you developed related to marketing as a result of you doing something sales oriented, then yes. But if it's not in alignment, I would not. So I would choose from that. That's good stuff right there. Amazing MMA. Is the boot camp the same thing as the job search coaching program? It is. It used to be called the job search boot camp. I used to do it live, meaning I would teach all the instruction 4 times a year. And so it was a boot camp style program, and I would basically repeat the class with a bunch of new people every 3 months. But I don't do that anymore. It's all recorded, and you have everything, and you get everything immediately. So it's all unlocked right away. It has everything that you could ever imagine. I don't necessarily have. I might be able to pull it up and give you an idea of what it looks like inside if you bear with me. Here we go. If you bear with me a second, but just so you know, it's all basically you get everything. So if you're looking to get in the program, when you enroll, so there's the instruction about how to go through it. So when I was talking just a few minutes ago about to Minoas about, how do I triangulate where I want to go? This 3-part technique to get directed and in motion will actually help you do that. So that's what I was talking about. All this stuff is recorded, and you get everything related to the job search, and then there's some specialty sections. I won't go in all this. You get some extra deep workshops. There's other products that you get as well. But every month, you can see August, July, June, May, and so on. We have 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 coaching sessions, depending on the month. And so, last month I talked about techniques related to salary negotiation and other things that you need to do. And next Thursday, we have a private group coaching session with only people in the program. And then what'll happen is I'll plop the coaching session inside their training. But the boot camp, it also gives you so many more assets related to your job search. That's just the main program in the boot camp. There's a whole library of other things that we give you, like the job search challenge, like some other detailed interviewing stuff, but all the main stuff is in the program. It's fully recorded, and then you get the online support. So if you want to go in there and ask me questions about salary negotiation, let me see if I could show you. Yeah, so when somebody has a question, they go into the program. So Jules here has a question, and then I give her some answers, and we go back and forth. But everybody who asks me a question, I will respond. And so we've had situations where I've helped people negotiate their entire offer through the online system. And so I respond to all of those. I do that every morning, and I even do it in the evenings. And in addition to all the recorded stuff, you get the online support. That's what the online support looks like. And then you get the live coaching sessions, and those are recorded, and those get dropped in your portal. And Kevin, who's getting the offer, hopefully, is saying, thanks, this program is an attitude changer and a confidence booster. So Kevin, I look forward to hearing about your offer, and I hope it's huge. I really do. But those are great questions, and I appreciate that, because you guys aren't going to see me next week because I'm going to be with those folks. And then the following week, I think I'm traveling. I'm in Memphis. So you're not going to see me for a number of weeks after today. So if you are interested in getting in that program and joining me on the 23rd, I hope you do. I'm in Memphis for my Ironman the following week and weekend. And then I think I'm back at live office hours on October, I think it's 7th or something like that. But hope you guys check it out. I really do. Laura F. Company based in EU with small team in US waiting for follow-up period to end, and sent thank you, but haven't connected on LinkedIn. Should I connect with the EU talent acquisition to express interest? Laura, my remark here is I would not ever connect with anybody at an organization until my interviewing process was over. More can go wrong than can go right, so I would just leave it alone. I really would not, and I would wait. I believe in the boot camp. If you're in the boot camp, there is an interview mastery workshop that's a supplemental product that you have. In that interview mastery workshop, the 4th session is on following up after an interview. I go into all the permutations, everything you're supposed to know, what you're supposed to do, and all that good stuff. I would check that out. Interview mastery workshop session 4, but I would not connect on LinkedIn with anybody. All right, let me see. How we doing? Ashley Kitchen, what do you say? I had an interview with the hiring manager that I already know, but when we met for the interview, he was very serious. I've never seen him this serious before. It's just funny that he turned on the work face. What should I think about that? Fantastic question. I don't know that I've ever gotten that one before, so kudos to you. I would not think too much. It could just be he wanted to be all business. I wouldn't think too much about it. I really would not. It could just be, his game face, his work face. I wouldn't. Don't overthink it. Let me see. Karen Board, hi. Bob, great to see you, Bob Ashman. Just sipping down. Abdul, when should you start negotiating benefits such as remote working with a potential employer when it's a conditional or unconditional offer? Okay, so this is an interesting question because it's got a little nuance here. Also, better result negotiate with HR or the new manager. Okay, this is really a good collection of questions. Abdul, I believe you are one of my boot campers. When should you start negotiating benefits such as, so these extras or accommodations, number one, I would only negotiate them once I had the offer. Okay, now what he's saying is it's a conditional or unconditional offer. It's a conditional or unconditional offer. For many reasons, but we're just gonna talk about 2. Number one, I'm extending you an offer, Abdul. It's conditional upon a reference check. It's conditional upon a background check. It's conditional upon a background check and a drug check. drug test, check, or something like that. That can be conditional. Okay, if that is the case, then you negotiate the remote, these benefits as soon as you get the written offer. Okay, if it is a verbal offer, I would not negotiate those yet. And I would never negotiate them until I had, I wouldn't be talking about it along the way. If it is a conditional offer because, let's say, a different circumstance, like you're interviewing with a consulting company, and they say, Abdul, we really like you. Here's a $100,000 offer, and it's conditional on us getting an assignment for you, actually securing a client. Okay? All right, well, now, if it's something like that, if it makes no difference whether you work remotely or not, meaning, hey, doesn't matter, whoever we get as a client, everybody needs to be in the office, everybody needs to go to the client site, everybody needs to work from home, or everybody needs to go to the clients 3 days a week, or we travel on Monday night and Thursday night, or whatever. Like, that kind of stuff should be laid out and contingent upon the condition, meaning this is conditional if and only if we get a client that we can deploy you on, because we're not going to hire you to our bench, let's say, in that kind of situation. In that case, you might not be able to negotiate those parameters until you actually see the conditions and how those conditions are met. That's just a scenario that could occur. If it's not something like this, meaning and you're just going into a corporation and it's just a matter of passing through a few hoops, then I would think about my first scenario. But either way, you're not negotiating that until you have an offer at the soonest, meaning I got the offer. It is here, I see it, the details. It's not a verbally extended, but actually written, and I understand what the offer entails. Okay, now, the best result for you is to negotiate with the hiring manager. Okay, now, I know some of you are gonna hem and haw, and you're gonna say, well, I wasn't given a choice. So let's talk about this. Number one, if given the opportunity to talk directly to the hiring manager or to talk to HR, there is absolutely no reason to talk to HR. Go directly to the hiring official. You are going to have much better luck getting what you want because the hiring official is going to be more in pain and the HR person is going to be more worried about policies and procedures, and the hiring official is going to be like, I need Abdul on the damn team. Let's hurry up and let's give him what it takes, right? I need him. All right, I'm not as worried about all the hoops, all the protocols, all whose feelings are going to be hurt. I need the guy, right? That's the hiring official's generally mentality. But even if it's not, you are still better off talking to the hiring manager, because why? If you talk to HR, what is HR going to do? They got to go talk to the hiring manager. What's going to happen between this, and this, the telephone line? It's going to get distorted in translation. You can't interact. You can't immediately explain. So it's better for you right to the horse's mouth, so to speak, talking to it, hearing it, and so on, and being able to go back and forth immediately, directly. Okay, so that's going to give you a better chance of success there. And the other thing is you want to make sure that you understand that, and are explaining to the hiring official, look, I want to come work with you. Right, I want to make this work, and here's what I'm going to do for you, and they are going to more easily understand your rationale behind the ROI they're going to get. You try arguing or explaining this to the HR person, and the HR person's got to go take your rationale and go give it to the hiring official. That stuff just isn't as potent. So those are dang good questions, Abdul. Really, really love those. Lots of luck with that, man. Okay. Kara's saying, related topic if you want to address it. Janae. How you doing, Janae? Andy, what does your crystal ball say about how much longer this getting big job offer season will continue? Minimum 5 months. Minimum. 5 months on the short side. Why? Well, first off, we're going into holiday season. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now. I want somebody at live office hours in January 2022 to go point me back to this video. It's September right now, right? Mid-September. October, what happens in October? Planning for the next year. They spend time planning, right? Okay, hang on, we're done with the projects. We got to get planned for budgets, preliminary stuff. Everybody, all the departments start making their cases, okay? Hiring dips in October. Now, hiring might not dip as much now because of the situation we're in. Generally speaking, right, calendar year in, calendar year out, October tends to be a lazy month because people are planning. Then by the end of October, they're like, oh crap, we need to get all this stuff approved, and I got to get people in here for January for the new projects, new initiatives, right? There's new budgets, new inspirations. Except that I got to get all this in motion, and now I'm heading into November and December where a lot of people are taking time off or a lot of people are busy wrapping up projects, and the recruitment process doesn't happen overnight. So I have to get people in, I got to get them through, I got to get them tagged, and I got to make sure that they're here for January 1st. So what happens is there's usually a big push in November and December. If you want, check my YouTube channel about why those are the best months to search, why those are really great months to search along with January and February. Well, hiring is not going to slow down in the beginning of a new year. Okay, so January tends to be the highest hiring month, followed by February. And March is good too, right? They get the leadership, you start getting the teams built out in January and February. That continues into March. So you got October, November, December, January, February, right? Hot zone. Hot zone. It ain't slowing down. Trust me, it is not slowing down. Right? What's been happening? COVID numbers are going up. What's happening in the market? You see that graph, didn't you? Right? So that the market is strong. The market is really strong right now. And here's another thing. So this is maybe a little more plug for my leadership program. All this stuff I'm going through in October and November and December is about reflection, and all this other good stuff is going to be in place for you guys. Is really good for those of you who have jobs you want or want to make sure that as you pass through the new year with your employer, you're getting those pay raises that they likely are going to need to give you to get you caught up with some of these new people that they're hiring. I'm telling you, this is all very positive stuff, right? So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. Look, I can say that. You guys have been beaten up for a long while now, right? It's time that the pendulum is always going back and forth, right? So now it's your turn as an employee, right? And for those of you that are in hiring capacities, figure this out for your teams. But that's what I think there, Janae. I think that, you know what, that's just a great one to end on. Plus, I'm 6 minutes over here. I got to get rolling, people. But that was a fantastic one. Love you all. Will not see you all until October 7th. But if you're in my job search coaching program, see you next Thursday. If you are on Team Apollo and you have not filled in your case study thing for our high-level leadership coaching session next Friday, the 24th, please do, please. And then I'll be traveling and doing the triathlon circuit the following week. I'll be in Memphis most of the week anyway, and then I'll be back. So I hope you guys are great, but nothing slows down. Videos are still coming, digests are still coming, emails are still coming. Because you know what? We don't close shop, right? Your career, we don't want the lights going down on it. All right, you guys be good. We'll see you.